calls me and he's like, hey, you want this fight? And I'm like, God damn it, Mick. I haven't done anything for a month. I've been sitting on my ass. I've been planning a snowboarding trip. I've been practicing my wheelies, my clutch feather. And he calls me and I'm like, and then his suave Australian says, we'll pay you a decent amount of money. And I said, well, God damn it, I'm your fucking Huckleberry. Let's go fight a man.
Yeah, sure.
I'm winning I will have a lot of step. When the fight is finished, I will be ranked better than if I did fight with Gastelum. So I'm very grateful for that.
We meet again. God, you got your fucking chain on, dude. Sorry. So me and this guy have a lot of history.
It's not ready.
All right, gentlemen. It's good.
We're going to go call Phil
Five
Hodge.
rounds in the light heavyweight bout between Nassourdine Imavov and Sean Strickland.
Yo, what's up, guys? So we're going to talk about this first main event of the year that just went down last night between Sean Strickland and Nassourdine Imavov and where Sean Strickland goes from here. Sean Strickland, you got to give him some credit, man. I mean, the guy came in less than a week's notice, took the fight, 5-round main event. He just fought December 17th, so coming back 2 fights in less than a month and got the job done. 5 rounds. He definitely, to me, I think I actually bet on Sean and we won that bet, and then I bet on him to win in round 3, 4, and 5, around 4 and 5 actually. And I felt as if he potentially could have gotten a win in those rounds if he had the full camp. I feel like the not having the time to prepare did hinder him a little bit down the stretch, but he still looked really good. I feel like he dominated the fight, won 4 or 5 rounds, was able to land the cleaner shots throughout the fight, got the takedowns, and really just cemented himself even further as a top 5, top 10 middleweight. And with Sean Strickland, we got one of the most recognizable names outside the UFC in that division now. He's kind of made himself into a fan favorite with his, craziness and just saying whatever he wants, being totally unfiltered. I feel like his press conferences are awesome, man. I mean, that press conference he had with Israel Adesanya, I think is one of the best press conferences of all time. I thought it was hilarious. I know some people, maybe Sean will rub him the wrong way, but if you take it with a grain of salt and know he's just messing around, then I think he's a really funny guy. And he goes out there and puts on really good performances. And I thought he beat Jared Cannonier personally. So to me, I feel like this fight was a big risky fight for Strickland because he was coming off a loss, but a lot of people thought he won, and it was against a top 3 opponent. So it kind of sucks for Strickland because he did have to fight 2 times in 1 month, and he got the win over Imavov, but Imavov was ranked below him, so I don't necessarily know if it's going to move him up the rankings. And I feel like he should be higher in the rankings already because I think he kind of got the bad end of the stick against Jared Cannonier. And so it makes for an interesting, decision with Sean Strickland next. I mean, do you want to jump him up there and put him against one of the higher level guys in the division, or do you want to let him kind of build himself back up after the 2 losses in a row, get another fighter at the same level as Imavov, and then try to move up the rankings that way? Me personally, I mean, I would love to see him up against Paulo Costa. I think the build up to that fight would be hilarious, and I think the fight would be really awesome too. Stand-up war, and I think it would favor Strickland because Strickland is longer. I think that Paulo Costa has some issues with jabbers. I think that would be a big advantage that Strickland has, and I think Strickland probably could maintain his gas tank better than Costa, throw more volume. Or, another fight that I think would be a really tough matchup for Strickland that I don't know if he would necessarily be able to get the job done in that fight would be against Robert Whittaker, the guy that Paulo Costa was supposed to fight. That's another fight that I think could be interesting. The lead-up could be interesting. Whittaker, we got a guy that obviously former champ, one of the best middleweights of all time, but has had a lot of title fights. Recently, he's lost 2 title fights in a row, and I don't think he's going to be getting the next shot. They had him up against Paulo Costa, but obviously Costa's having some issues with UFC, and who knows if he's going to be coming back. And so Whittaker had to pull out of that fight February 11th in Australia. But it would be awesome, man, to see Strickland, get that opportunity to fight Robert Whittaker. I think it'd be a tough fight for him. I think it would be, him up against it. But, man, who doesn't want to get the chance to fight a former champ, a legend, and a win in that fight would definitely get him a title shot. So I think Strickland would definitely be gung-ho and very excited to take that fight as well. And ultimately, that's kind of the direction that I would go. I'd maybe try to put it on that UFC 285 card with the John Jones or Cyril Gane that just got announced. That would be a hell of a fight to put. that card. And I also think that it would be interesting lead up. I think it would be just everything for the pay-per-view that it needs to be. So that's what I would go. I would go with Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker. And what do you guys think? What did you guys think about Sean Strickland's performance? What do you think about him versus Robert Whittaker March 11th? Do you like that fight? Do you got another fight that you think you'll target for him? And for Nasruddin Imavov, I mean, it wasn't a horrible performance, but I think that he kind of showed his ceiling there. He showed that he's still having some cardio issues. He needs to go back to the gym and fix some things, and I don't think he's necessarily ready for that top 10, top 5 level competition. Probably needs to go back to find an unranked guy next, or maybe someone in that top 10 to 15 range and see how he could do there. But I still think Imavov is young, could potentially get back in the mix, but right now Sean Strickland is one of the elite guys at 185. Further proved that with another great performance, and got to give a big shout out to Strickland for taking this fight short notice, saving the card, giving us a fun main event, and hopefully we see him versus Robert Whittaker or him versus someone else in that top 5 sometime soon. I think March 11th would be a good date for that pay-per-view, and I'm going to be going to that card hopefully. So yeah, man, if that happens, then I would love to see it. So Sean Strickland versus Robert Whittaker, March 11th, that's kind of what I'm thinking for me. And definitely think that it would bolster that card. And the first card of the year was pretty good, man. We won over 5 units on the Patreon. Already got 2 bets going for UFC 283. So if you want to get on that, definitely check it out. And besides that, man, put a comment down below. What do you think about Sean Strickland? And I'll talk to you guys later.